Making a Murderer Season 2. Spoiler alert up front here, I'm going to talk about the documentary, and it's pretty hard to talk about it without giving away any details, so you've been warned. If you're not familiar with it, it's a documentary series about the murder of a lady by the name of Teresa Halbach, and the man accused of her murder, Stephen Avery. In the 1980s, Avery spent 18 years in prison for a rape and attempted murder, and not long after being exonerated for this by DNA evidence, he was accused of Halbach's murder. I watched the first season of this back in January of 2016, and Mrs. B and I were riveted to it. In fact, we marathoned the final 4 one-hour episodes back to back. The end result of that was that Avery and his nephew Brendan Dassey were both jailed for the murder, despite there appearing to be giant holes in the prosecution case, and a flimsy confession coerced from the intellectually challenged 16-year-old Dassey. So we were quite pleased to see that a second season was added towards the end of last year. Where would the story go this time? Well, we were in for a wild ride. Season 2 is quite different to the first, whereas in Season 1 they focused a lot on the court cases of Avery and Dassey. Season 2 follows the breakdown, the building and submissions in the appeal process. So the difference really is here is instead of courtroom scenes like we got in Season 1, we go through a really great and thorough explanation of the different experiments and tests and information collection that goes into building such a case. The tension in Season 1 was, will they get convicted? And in Season 2 it's, will they build a successful appeal case? There's a lot of information to take in over the 10 episodes, but the filmmakers do a really good job of keeping you on top of the details. For example, when someone's on screen, you get a graphic with their name and their relation to the case, even if they've already appeared in the documentary. Also, when they're explaining the complicated appeals process, they use flowcharts really well to explain the different stages of the process and whether or not they've been successful to date. They also use maps and animated graphics on screen during explanations of different theories, so you can really visualize what they're talking about. It really helps you get an understanding of what it is that's going on. As with Season 1, Season 2 is full of twists and turns, revelations, and a few jaw-dropping moments. If what the makers and the defense lawyers are saying is true, Avery's lawyer in particular, then there's a cover-up, or at least a strong attempt to subvert the course of justice going on in this place. It's fascinating, but it's also kind of horrifying to watch. I feel really bad for everybody involved. The Halbach family, Avery and Dassey, all their families as well. They've had this thing that's just come and taken over their lives. It's really, really interesting. It has a place, in my opinion, on the shelf next to The Staircase and The Keepers as top-notch documentary true crime series on Netflix. If you've got an interest in true crime documentaries, and I'd be surprised if you hadn't already come across this, but if you haven't, then I suggest that you check it out, especially if you like yelling at your TV in frustration.